friends, it's Loree with the blog wagonwheelhomestead.com. Welcome back to my channel. I have a really fun video for you today. I'm going to show you how to make our favorite summer drinks, and those are water kefir. So this is a probiotic drink. It's a great way to get all of your probiotics. It's like better than yogurt, and it's a great way to get probiotics in your kids, right? Because they're more likely to drink something fizzy. It's like homemade soda pop, basically, right? That's good for you. They're more likely to drink this than they are to eat a whole bunch of yogurt, right? So you can consistently get probiotics in your kids and yourself. You can flavor it however you want. So this one I flavored with strawberries. This one was with grape juice. Anyway, I'm going to show you in the video how to make it like cream soda. And then I'm also going to show you how to make fermented lemonade. And you make that with the whey that you strain off of yogurt. And so that's kind of the starter for fermented lemonade. It's so good. Has just a slight fizz to it. Really great served over ice or cold out of the fridge on these hot summer days. So anyway, come along and I'm going to show you just an up-close video of how to make each one of these things. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And we cover lots of topics on how to preserve and grow and cook your own food, how to be more self-sufficient with your food. And so we'd love it if you'd follow along. And we'll jump right into the video. So let's start from the very beginning. What I have here is sugar water and my water kefir grains. You'll see them when I strain them off. And you can keep this covered with like a coffee filter or a tea towel and a rubber band. I prefer to keep, any fizz in here. And so it works better for me to use a sealed lid, but you do whatever you want. And I'm gonna show you this when we remake this, but I put a couple raisins in the jar, and when they float, I know this is ready to go on to the second ferment. So we're gonna do two ferments. The first ferment, which is just sugar water, and the second ferment, we're gonna add juice or fruit, or these I added a little bit of sugar and vanilla to make it taste like cream soda. So there's lots of different things you can do. Most often, we just add like fresh raspberries right to the jar, or some fruit juice. So this is a great way to use up a lot of the fruit juice from our orchard, like our grape juice. Anyway, so for the this is the first ferment, and to make it into the second ferment, what we're gonna do, so we're just gonna strain it off. I just have this little, see all the bubbles in the side of this. And actually you can drink it just like this. If you don't want it flavored, if you just want it plain, you can drink it just like this. Okay, I'm gonna attempt to pour this in. It helps when you use a funnel. If you pick it up just a little bit, it lets it breathe. Now, the exact measurements on this are not important, but I usually fill up the jar just about to there, and then I will fill it up the rest of the way with juice. You can do half and half if you want. You just experiment with your own water kefir and see how you want it to taste. And we might have enough for a whole nother large jar here. Let's just see. I'm gonna continue straining off my raisins. Again, you can get just a little wire strainer, works really well. This is what I have, so it's what I use. And like I mentioned, these water kefir grains will multiply. So I'm just gonna pull out these raisins. You'll wanna use new raisins the next time, because these obviously will float right away, but this is what the water kefir grains look like. So they're just little tiny clear grains. They're really not a grain at all. And this is what feeds on the sugar water. And these will multiply. So you can use like a half a cup per half gallon. This is just what I have right now. I had let mine dehydrate over the winter. I'm just gonna pour them back in here. So I kind of am waiting for mine to multiply, but obviously they're making this nice and fizzy, so it's all good. All right, we're gonna replenish this first ferment jar here in just a minute, but first we're gonna finish getting our second ferment going. And I'm actually, just so that I can have 3 jars, I'm gonna pour off just a little bit of this. Like I said, the exact measurements I have found are not important. If you want exact measurements, you can go to the blog. It's all on there. You know, what's recommended. Okay, and now we're gonna add some homemade grape juice. This is from our grapes last year. I'm just going to add juice. And this will make it grape flavored soda. Now you can put pieces of mango in here. You can put raspberries, blueberries, strawberries. Anything you want is gonna flavor this. Or like I said, and there's ideas for flavoring on the blog. Isn't that pretty? You can put in a little bit of vanilla and sugar, and then you would have cream soda as well. Okay. Now, really important, you're gonna want to close these little flip top bottles. Close them down, and that's gonna hold all of the fizz in while this feeds on the sugar in the juice or the fruit that you've added, and it's gonna turn it into flavored soda. Here, you're gonna wanna let these set on your counter for about a day. I usually only do about a day. You can do 2 days if you want. So what I suggest is after a day, I suggest that you burp these bottles by just opening it real careful, and be careful because some of them, you'll probably see these other ones are probably gonna explode. Some of them, like they will just like spew all over. So just do a little bit, and if you hear it go, you know, if you hear, it's like when you open a pop, if you hear the fizz start and kind of hear it go pop, then you know it's probably fermented enough. You can put it in the fridge or serve it over ice. If it's not fermented, if it's not fizzy, then you can just let it set out on your counter for another day. And that's kind of how, usually 1 to 2 days is plenty. That's how you figure out how long to let it sit out. And again, it all depends on the temperature of your house. It's just like a sourdough starter or making yogurt or making sauerkraut. It's all very dependent on temperature. Okay, so we're gonna set these off to the side until tomorrow. And we're gonna finish rejuvenating this jar. And there's really fancy ways on the internet you will see. Some people boil water and then cool it down and all that. All I'm gonna do is add some sugar. I'm gonna add 1/2 cup of sugar per 1/2 gallon of water. Then I'm gonna fill it up with warm water, swirl it around so that the sugar dissolves, and just set it back on the counter with some new raisins in it. So very simple. It doesn't take but just a couple minutes to do this. And in the summertime, that's a good thing because we're busy. So I'm gonna add the sugar. And again, this is approximately 1/2 cup. It's not a big deal. And don't worry, you're not gonna be drinking sugar water, because remember, these grains are gonna feed on this and make it fizzy, and they're going to consume the sugar out of it. So there won't be any more really sugar in it. It'll be probiotics. So I'm just gonna fill this up with warm water. And I just use warm tap water because we just have a well, but if you have chlorinated water, you will obviously want to use filtered water or something like that, but it's just warm. And I'm just gonna shake it really good to make sure that the sugar gets really dissolved into the water. And then I'm gonna add a couple raisins, 2 or 3 or whatever. Just add a couple raisins, and you'll notice that the raisins sunk all the way to the bottom. But when it's ready to go on to its second ferment, the raisins will be floating on the top. So this just sits on the counter, and the other stuff sits on the counter. Again, same thing here. This will probably take 1 to 2 days. You can open it, and if you hear a little bit of a fizz, this doesn't have to be as fizzy as the second ferment, but then you'll know it's ready to go on. But that's why I put these raisins in there, because when they float, it's time to go on to the second ferment. So I'm just gonna set these back here on the counter. Okay, and then because it's been a few days, like I said, I've been gonna make this video, haven't had a chance, it's been a few days. I'm gonna open these over this bowl because I don't wanna lose any good water kefir if it happens to be really fizzy. So you're gonna find out with me how fizzy this batch really is, okay? Usually it's quite fizzy, but we will just find out. So I'm gonna go ahead and open it carefully. Don't put your head right over the top. Okay, that's not bad, that's perfect. So it made noise, it did a pop. Part of it is probably because I didn't use juice on this. I used a little bit of vanilla and sugar. So that's gonna be different, and let's try this one. You sometimes, like, you don't want it to bubble up too much because you end up losing half of it. So do it over your sink or over a bowl where you can catch it if you've let it ferment, you know, too long. You really can't let it ferment too long. Like, it's not gonna hurt you, it's just gonna get better. And just have more probiotics, but it will get so fizzy that it'll just bubble right out of the jar. So let's see. Okay, that's perfect too. So again, but if you put juice with it, there's more sugar in there for it to feed on the second ferment, and it like bubbles clear out of the jar. So, okay, so that's how I open it. And you can, this is cold from the refrigerator because it's been waiting on me to make this video, but you can serve it over ice. You know, if you don't want to take time to refrigerate these and you're doing this every couple days or every day for your family, you can just serve it right over ice, serve it warm, right? Right over ice, and then refill these bottles, right? Say, okay, everybody, here's your water kefir for the day, and then fill these with your first ferment again and more juice and let it ferment, and you just keep this cycle going all summer. So, and I'm just gonna serve this in a mason jar. And it's gonna be absolutely delicious. You can see the bubbles on the side. A great way to get your probiotics every single day, especially during the summertime when it's hot out. So that's how you make water kefir. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below and I will try to help you. We've made this, like I said, for a couple years. Really enjoy it. And so, you know, the great thing is too, when the grains keep multiplying, you can share them with friends, you know, show people how to make this and they can be healthier as well. So we're gonna move on now to making the fermented lemonade. And this is super easy. It's almost the exact same as making regular lemonade, except we're going to add yogurt whey. So if you haven't made your own yogurt, I would encourage you to do so. It's the easiest thing you can make out of milk. You can use store-bought milk, and when you see how easy it is to make it, you can make a whole gallon of it for the same cost basically as what a gallon of milk is, which is way cheaper than what a whole gallon of yogurt would be. So making your own yogurt is a great place to start with home dairy. Anyway, you can also use raw milk, of course, whatever. Anyway, there's a blog post that talks all about 3 different kinds of ways to make yogurt and a video that shows you how to do it. So this is the way, if you don't want to make your yogurt, but you want to make whey lemonade, this is also known as whey lemonade or fermented lemonade, what you're gonna need to do is buy yogurt from the store that has active cultures in it, probably not a Greek yogurt because it's already gonna be so thick, you're not gonna be able to strain off very much whey. But if you get a yogurt that's not quite as thick, just a plain yogurt, you can put it in a cheesecloth usually a cheesecloth, it works really well, and over a colander and strain out, there's this yellow liquid, it's called yogurt whey. Usually it's mixed in with your yogurt. You've probably seen it if you go to get a scoop of yogurt out of your yogurt container, you'll sometimes see this liquid, it's yogurt whey. And we're gonna use this as the starter, or what we're gonna use it for, we're gonna use this as the starter to ferment our lemonade. It just has to sit on the counter for a couple days. It's absolutely delicious. And again, it doesn't have near the sugar that normal lemonade would have because the yogurt whey is gonna feed on the sugars and turn it into probiotics. Still tastes absolutely delicious, but you're not gonna be dealing with super sugary lemonade, right? So it works best with fresh squeezed lemon juice. You can use bottled, but it's not quite as it doesn't work out quite as well. So I am going to squeeze these lemons. Now I'm making a double batch. The recipe on the blog is for a ½ gallon. I'm making a double batch, so I'm using 4 lemons. And I'm just going to juice them. You can use any kind of a lemon squeezer. This is an old Pampered Chef lemon squeezer I've had for many, many years, so it's just what I have. Again, use what you have, that's the best. And you can put this pulp in if you want. I'm not going to because it has all the seeds in it, but I am gonna try to get some more of this juice to run down into the bottom to get all the lemony goodness possible. Okay, then we're just gonna pour it right into our, strain it, pour it right into our gallon jar. I'm using a gallon because for my family, a gallon of lemonade does not go very far. And then I'm gonna use a cup of cane sugar. And I forgot to tell you on the water kefir, cane sugar actually works really well. It almost works better than white sugar because it's more natural. And so you can get cane sugar from Azure Standard, and I'll put a link in the description box below. You can get a special discount if you use my link. And we order from Azure Standard fairly often. It's a great place to get your cane sugar. We're also going to add 1 cup of this yogurt whey. And no, it's not gonna taste like yogurt. This is just gonna be the starter for your lemonade. You're really not even gonna know this is in here. It is gonna add maybe a depth of flavor. You're really gonna love this. My whole family loves this lemonade. Then all I'm gonna do is fill it up all the way to the top with water from the tap, warm water, warmish water, okay? Or even room temperature water is fine. Fill it all the way up. We're gonna stir it and just put a lid on it, set it on the counter for a couple days, and we'll have our lemonade. Very simple. And you don't wanna use hot water because you don't wanna kill the whey, right? Just like you wouldn't add your yogurt culture to your milk for making yogurt when it was super hot. Keep in mind this is gonna have a small bit of dairy in it from the yogurt whey, not very much, but just if you're sensitive to dairy, the water kefir might be a better option for you. And then I'm just gonna put a lid on this, set it on the counter for a couple of days, put it in the refrigerator, and we'll have our fermented lemonade. If it's really cool in your house, you might consider leaving it for 3 or 4 days. Just, however you end up liking it, taste it, and when you like the taste of it, then it's ready to go in the refrigerator. It'll keep in the refrigerator for a couple of weeks. Of course, it will continue to ferment a little bit, but the fermentation will slow down a lot once it's cold, and you can enjoy this probiotic drink with your family.